Okay, we have the student athletes from Northwestern, Brooks Barnhizer and Robbie Beran. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
You've had a chance now to look at your opponent for tomorrow. What stands out the most, and what will you guys need to do to pull off a win?
I think the biggest thing that we need to do is, match their physicality. They're a really good ball team, really well coached. We're still trying to get, our game plan down. I got confidence in our coaches to put us in the right positions.
Yeah, and they have a tremendous player in Jaquez, and then they have a great point guard who kind of runs the show for them. So we just really got to be ready for not only those two, but the guys that complement those two. So kind of what Rob said, just really match their physicality and kind of be us.
Questions, gentlemen, and please wait for the microphone to get to you before you ask your question. Who's first?
Question for either of you. The win over Boise State was one of the biggest in the program's history. What was it like to go from that and then kind of have to settle down and get ready for now one of the best teams in the country in UCLA? What is your what did the rest timeline look like, and when did the preparation for the next game start to kick in?
We really wanted to enjoy the moment, enjoy the win last night. So obviously spend some time, say hello to family after the game, just hang out, chill with them. Once we woke up this morning, it was kind of ready to turn the page. Coach talks about it all the time, enjoy it, but, we got to move on.
Gentleman in the front row.
For either one of you guys, Coach talked about, it was Boo and Chase combined for 42, but everybody had to play a role in that win. Everybody's role was important. Can you talk about, coming into the season, what was the role that, Coach Collins talked to you guys about, and how, you all adapted to those roles, or how easy or difficult it is to, find that role and be like, okay, that's fine with me if that means the team's going to succeed. Even, in sports, you want to do that, but it can be difficult.
Yeah, I feel like just the coaches made a really good point early on that kind of like everybody has to pull their weight to be good. And there really wasn't like a solidified role that we kind of had when the season started. It just kind of like came to be during like those first few games, and once we got into conference play. That's why I feel like it's so impressive, because it wasn't like, this is your job, go do it. Everybody just kind of read the game that way, and as like our season went on, we were all like, okay, like this is what I have to do to succeed. And it can change by the game. Like, if teams are, keeping two on the ball with Chase or Boo, other guys are going to have to be more aggressive. And if they're not, then, we kind of, Boo and Chase can really be aggressive. Then we just kind of have to pull our part. And that's why I think it's so impressive, what we've done and how we have to keep going. It's just it changes by the game, and we've done pretty good at accepting every, different role that we have in the upcoming games.
Ron.
Ron Krejcik from the San Francisco Chronicle. UCLA, obviously, as you know, 11 national championships, all this history, a long time ago mostly. But does that mystique matter at all on this stage? And sort of conversely, if you guys are able to win tomorrow, what does that mean going forward for Northwestern's program?
Obviously, great history, with their institution. Got to respect that. To be honest, when the ball goes up, it's kind of in the moment. It's 5-on-5, or Northwestern versus UCLA. So I don't know how much the history really matters. It's obviously their team versus our team. But depending on the outcome, it's two great teams playing at a high level. And that's what college basketball is all about. Getting the best of the best to play, in March and have great games. Obviously we've seen games, all week. So, yeah, I don't know if does that touch your question?
Cool. Sure.
I guess what I meant by the second part of the question is how important or how much pride is there in you guys in kind of changing the image and history of Northwestern, right? Because you guys hadn't made the tournament until 6 years ago, have now won twice. I mean, how much does that matter beyond this team, I guess? Does that make sense?
I mean, as a program, it would be huge. Obviously, as a team together, we got together at the beginning of the year. I knew we had something special, and really just trying to make history. Obviously, the team in 2017 ended up beating Vandy and then lost to Gonzaga in the second round. So it will be a huge, step for the program. But we're just trying to focus on the game. We're not really trying to look at, how it affects Northwestern basketball legacy. You're welcome.
Gentleman up front.
Yeah, this is for either of you guys. Sort of last week you had that tough loss to Penn State. In what way do you think that kind of helps the mindset going into like a game like yesterday or a game like tomorrow where it's like a do or die situation?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of like because that was kind of like our second loss to Penn State in a matter of like a week and a half or something, and it just kind of like made a point to us that every day's a new day, and we have lost two really close, hard-fought battles. I think they both went to OT in a row, but it doesn't mean that the next one's not going to be a win. And it's just kind of like our message was kind of like we got to be persistent, and I mean we have such a good opportunity to come play an NCAA tournament and kind of show what we're about, because it's kind of tough if you kind of dwell on one game. So I thought we did a really good job of just moving on to the next one and kind of being excited for this stage.
Jim.
Jim Alexander from the Southern California News Group, and either one of you can answer this. You're going against a team that's been in the Elite Eight, been in the Final Four. They've got four guys that have basically been there 4 years, and they've had a lot of tournament experience. How do you guys deal with that? Does it make a difference once you're out there on a court?
I think, yes, as you mentioned, they have a lot of tournament experience. It's a great core that they have, developing their guys, obviously seeing improvement every single year. So, hats off to that. But kind of at the same time, I feel like we're an old team as well. Of our, rotation, we got one freshman playing. Other than that, I feel like we've had a lot of minutes together on the court in meaningful basketball, in close games. I think that's where you saw early in our career, or early in my career, we would lose close games. I want to say last year we might have been, there's a stat where games decided 5 points or less. So I think that's kind of the important thing. So yes, they have, tournament experience, but I think we're also pretty experienced as well.
Gentleman up front.
This was asked to both Chase and Boo yesterday, but can you talk more about, how impactful it is to have fans come all the way from Evanston or wherever in the world to Sacramento, and to be here to, root for you all, or just, have that much purple pride out here?
Yeah, I think it means a lot, especially because this is probably one of the farthest places that we could have been slotted to come play. And even though we came out here and yesterday when we touched the court, there was so much purple in it. I mean, they were so loud, and I mean, it's so special for all of us, because we've all came here to try to get this program to these points and play in these games, and to see our fans supporting us and come out and support us is it's almost unfathomable. The words, you can't even really describe it, but it's super special, super special.
Ditto.
Sir.
Hi, Louis Vaquer, Wildcat Report. Brooks, you had a basket that kind of put the nail in the coffin at the end of the game, and you kind of went by the bench and kind of gestured toward the bench. Just give me that feeling, what that feeling was like at that moment, and what you experienced.
Yeah, it was actually kind of a pretty funny play, because I actually kind of got beat on defense, and he had an open layup, but he ended up missing it. And I got the rebound, and I knew they were trying to foul, but I was just trying to get the ball out of the backcourt. And when I just kept going and there was just nobody in front of me, so I was like, okay, well, I might as well just make the layup. I mean, it's probably easier than just going up there and shooting 2 free throws. It was just the right play, and I made it. And I think we laid it up. I think we went up 10 or something, and I just kind of was surprised that I even had that possibility. And when I made the layup, I just kind of looked at the bench, and it's just kind of emotions. They were kind of going crazy for it, and it just felt really good just to kind of put the nail in the coffin right there. But I mean, we did need to go back and get a stop, and I think we did, hopefully. But yeah, it was just a really good feeling. So it was just kind of in the moment thing, for sure.
Question over here.
Hey, Brooks. Dave Ennett, WGN Radio. Can you describe a little bit the impact the seniors have had on you, Robbie and Boo and Chase, when things are going well, but also at times, especially early in the season when you were first kind of getting regular minutes and things weren't going so well?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I remember for Rob, even earlier before conference play, the game against UIC, I think I had a really good game, and it was kind of like my first like in college game where I would realize to myself like, okay, I can be like a pretty good player at this level. And I remember after the game, like, you know, everybody, we're all showering up, and like I was like talking to myself, I was like bro, I can do this, I can do this. And like Rob kind of came up to me and he was like I've been like, yeah, bro, I'm glad that you like realize that, like, cause you're like a really good player, you just kind of got to do that. And you know, once I had that game and kind of got out of the shooting stretch that I was kind of going through in the non-conference, like my team has just been so great. Like, you know, always tell me how proud they are of me, cause you know, kind of how basketball is. Like the more like weapons you have and the more people that are aggressive, the easier it is for everybody else. So, you know, if kind of for this team, I kind of got to do that. But they've been so just like great in their leadership and encouraging me, and it's been really special group to be around.
Robbie, this is for you. A lot of your upsets, you know, earlier in the season against pretty big centric teams. Obviously, Purdue, you know, plays for their big. Indiana plays for their big. Obviously, UCLA's lost like once since February 1st. For somebody like you, where, you know, again, you're not really like their best players are wings. How does the prep change for you, given a lot of the onus for you is like, you know, rotating defensively, and you know you're prepping for their perimeter game more so because that's how to beat them?
Yeah, I think you know, you got to tackle them how we tackle any team. You know, stick to our principles, making sure that, you know, we get our rotations down in some of their favorite actions. You know, obviously with our defense, we play a different style, so it's a matter about just shoring up those details. You know, obviously in a tournament setting, they're on a one-day prep, we're on a one-day prep. It's kind of you wake up, you see who you play, and then, you know, you get to work. So that's, you know, the exciting part. But I don't think preparation changes. I think it's, you know, every single day. You know, we practice today. We'll watch film probably tonight, you know, from the practice, and then try to clean it up before tomorrow.
Any more questions? Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
doing?
Coach?
Good to see you.
Nice shirt.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Northwestern coach Chris Collins with us. And Coach, you've had a chance to look at some tape and get a good practice in. What are your thoughts about your opponent tomorrow?
Well, they're pretty good. They're very good, and I've known that. I've watched them a few times during the year. In my opinion, two of the better players in the country, in Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell. Two guys that have played in a national championship, Final Four. Just tough, competitive, really smart players. They're athletic. They defend well. I think one of the best defenses in the country. Really good on the boards, which is something we're going to have to do a better job of. We didn't do a great job last night rebounding, so that's going to be a big focus of our attention is making sure we match their physicality. But we know what we're up against. Terrific team, one of the best coaches, and Mick Cronin, and but we're excited. It's great to be playing. It's exciting to have a chance to move on, and our guys are looking forward to the opportunity.
Questions? Please wait for the microphone to reach you before speaking.
Annie Costable from the Sun-Times. Chris, there's been a lot of comparisons made to the 2017 team. What do you think makes this group better equipped to advance past the second round?
Well, I don't know if they're better equipped. I think both teams, were worthy of that. I just think when you get to this point and you're in the second round of the tournament, you lean on your experience, you lean on what you've been through. I think this team in particular, the level that we played in the Big Ten, who we faced, where we had to play. We've played in a lot of big venues this year on the road in our conference, a lot of really good teams, and hopefully we can draw upon that experience as you play UCLA, who's one of the best teams in the country. But I thought both teams, there was a reason why they were here. They were both really tough-minded groups, really connected teams, and had great guard play. Both teams with McIntosh and Lindsay with that last team, and now with Chase and Boo on this team. So, it's hard. It's hard for me. It's like having two children, and it's like they ask you who's your favorite child, and so that's a tough question for me because I love both these teams.
But there's always an answer, right?
Maybe so, but I'm not going to tell you.
Just one more follow-up. This is an opportunity for the program to accomplish a statement win, a win that you use to recruit players down the line. What are your team's thoughts on the opportunity at stake here?
I think we're excited. How could you not be excited? You're at this stage, playing UCLA with the right to go to the Sweet 16. One of the things I've tried to tell the team is don't take for granted being in that situation. It's hard. It's obviously, we know in our program's history, it's only the second time. It's really hard to get to the tournament, and it's even harder to win when you get to the tournament. So to have an opportunity to play tomorrow, to get to the second weekend, to do something historical, that's never happened in the program's history, it's awesome. It's exciting. But at the end of the day, too, just like I have with these guys, I tried to tell them before our game last night, I don't want them to make it more than it is. You still have to understand it's basketball. It's a 40-minute game. When the ball goes up, you got to do the things that you've done throughout the course of the year, defensively, rotations, playing together on the offensive end. Like, don't make the game bigger than it is. And I thought a little bit when we were here last time, when we played Gonzaga, I thought early in the game the game was a little bit too big. I felt that, and then we recovered and made a huge run and made it a game late. But I want the guys to go out there and just play ball. We're playing a great team. We know it's going to be tough. It's going to be a battle. They're physical, they're good, and we got to come out and do the things that we do well, and hopefully put ourselves in a position to be there when the games get into the final minutes.
Sir.
Matt Shellen with WildcatReport.com. After one of the biggest wins in program history, you now have to turn around and play one of the best teams in the country on just 2 days' notice. What has your preparation looked like since the game ended last night, and what does it look like going forward?
Yeah, great question. I mean, we as coach, for players, you want to get them as much rest as you can. I mean, these games are exhausting for them. They're laying it on the line. It's physical. We don't have a lot of depth, so our main guys are playing a lot of minutes. So recovery, stretching, our sports performance team getting with the guys, making sure, we're doing a good job there. We met with the guys briefly last night, after UCLA had advanced, just to kind of tell them who we were playing and kind of we watched a little bit of an edit last night. The coaches were up most of the night, to do a deep dive. I tried to watch a number of their games to get a better feel for who they are and how we could attack them and what they would probably try to do against us, so that we could come this morning and be ready to give our guys, a full scouting report. So that's what we did this morning. Had a full edit and went through our scouting and our personnel and got everything ordered. And then we came over here and got 90 minutes on the floor to kind of put our game plan out on the floor and go through it. And when we go back to the hotel, they got to get rest, they got to get food. We'll meet again tonight, and then fortunately not playing until 5:40 tomorrow. We'll have a little bit of time in the morning as well. So I feel like we'll be prepared. It doesn't make it any easier. I mean, you could have a week to prepare for these guys and not be ready to go. But our guys are good. They're older guys. They're used to it. We had a stretch. Remember, we had a COVID pause. So we had a stretch during the conference where we played 6 conference games in I think 11 days or 12 days. All really good teams. I think 5 of them were ranked out of the 6 teams. So we were kind of used to short preps, and hopefully we can draw upon that as we go into this game tomorrow.
Jim?
Jim Alexander from the Southern California News Group. You mentioned that you'd seen UCLA play a couple times earlier in the year. When you're watching a game like that, are you kind of breaking down things and thinking, well, if we play them, then this and that and the other, or are you just watching it to watch?
Just watching. I'm a big fan. I'm a basketball junkie. So, Coach Cronin and I have been friends for a long time. We were actually partners in a little golf event on a coaching trip, and we won. So, just saying, we were good teammates. So he's been a buddy of mine. So I've always kind of admired. I like watching good programs and good teams, just not saying like, oh, we might play them down the stretch, but just like kind of coaches all steal from each other, So I always, as a coach, I'm watching, maybe there's a play I can steal, or maybe they do something defensively that I like. And so more just so as a fan, though, and watching somebody that I respect, and Coach Cronin and their team. Never once really did I sit and think, man, we're going to be playing them in the final round of 32 to go to the Sweet 16. But, I love watching high-level games, so I had a chance to watch them play a couple of their Arizona games at Arizona State. Obviously my teammate in college was Bobby Hurley, so I caught one of their games when they played them. So had a feel for their personnel, but really until last night was the first time I did a deep dive. Okay, this is how they play. This is what they're trying to do. This is what they're doing defensively. That last night was kind of the first time to dive into that really hard.
Ron?
Ron Krajcik from the San Francisco Chronicle. You're obviously too young to have been around for the UCLA dynasty days, but as you said, you're a basketball junkie. What do those letters sort of mean to you? How much does that mystique even matter anymore?
No, I mean, I think UCLA, in the history of college basketball, it's one of those programs that, is an eyebrow raiser, just for everything they've accomplished. And what now Mick has done, taking them to a Final Four, getting them back. They were pretty much top 5 in the country all year long. To me, they've reemerged as one of the best programs in the country, and in my mind are going to stay there. So it's special, special when you get to play, those kind of programs. Playing in a conference like the Big Ten, we get an opportunity to play some of those historical programs as well throughout the course of the year. And it's always, as someone who's followed the history of basketball and great players and great teams, certainly it's special to play those teams, and will be tomorrow as well.
Question in the front.
Coach Collins, you just mentioned it a while ago. You're a basketball junkie. You've been around it your whole life on multiple levels, playing and coaching. And that's what I want to ask you. Coaching in college ranks, what is that to you? What's your overall perspective of coaching in the college game, the NCAA?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I mean, I grew up my whole life being around the NBA. You know, my dad was an NBA player, an NBA coach, and I've always just liked, being at the college level because I feel like you have an opportunity to really, when you're working with guys who are 18 to 22 years old, you have a chance to make an impact. You know, not only on their lives basketball wise, but in their growth as people. You know, and I've always enjoyed that process. I mean, to have two guards who, and Chase Audige and Boo Buie, who've been 4-year starters, who we've gone through good times, but also a lot of bad times, where we've been struggled and not won, and, their growth as players, and then you see them as seniors. To me, I've always loved that developmental part and being a part of that process and watching players grow and going through the growth of teams throughout the years, and just the energy of college basketball. I've always liked competing in the venues that you get a chance to compete in, and the excitement of student fan bases and all that. And so, college for me has kind of been an opportunity to make my mark. My dad kind of has been the NBA coach. And so for me, to be a college coach and to impact a lot of players throughout the years and kind of make my mark in college coaching is something that was always exciting to me.
Ron?
You mentioned your dad a couple times. That they showed him on TV the other night, sort of fidgeting and nervous. And how would you describe the way he handles watching you coach?
I'm sure if you were able to take a picture of his insides, they were in knots in a big way. I mean, that's the one thing for all, when your family is involved but you're a coach, so you kind of know how a game's going and everything. As a coach, you kind of always know what can go wrong. So even if things are going well, you always know how games can turn and things. So I know it's crazy and there's no control. You're kind of watching and there's nothing you can do. So I know it's agony for him just because he wants me to do well, but also he has an impact on our players. It's such a family program when you're in college, which is great. So when he comes to visit, he'll pop into a practice and see the guys and kind of give some of that wisdom, as someone who's been in the NBA for 50 years. So he's got a good relationship with our players. But I always laugh, when they show his reactions and things, because I know he's just going nuts in his mind and his stomach is in knots. And so it's cool though. It's fun to have that support. It's great to be able to have someone that has been around so long and knows what's going on, to be a great resource for me as I continue to grow and hopefully improve as a coach.
Gentleman in the back.
Hey, Coach Collins, Raj Ganiker, Northwestern News Network. So you've been a player, you've been a coach, you've been around basketball for such a long time, and there's so much passion on the sideline. Just overall, what does the game of basketball really mean to you? I mean, reaching this point of coaching, and I mean, you reached some great points as a player. What does this game mean to you overall?
Yeah, I mean, basketball has been such a huge part of my life. I mean, like I said, I grew up, and I don't know if I took it for granted, but I didn't even realize, growing up, and my dad's playing for the 76ers with Dr. J and, Daryl Dawkins and all these guys, and I'm in the locker room and I'm going to practices, and then I'm in middle school and he's coaching Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and I'm a ball boy and working all the home games and all the practices and all those. I mean, and that was my way to hang out too. Like for me to hang out with my dad. I mean, he was coaching, so I always wanted to tag along. I wanted to go to practices. I wanted to be at the games. I always was such a big observer. As I was growing up, I wanted to watch the great players and watch the great coaches, and it's just been such a huge part. The game has been a huge part of our family's life ever since I was 2 years old. I mean, it's all I can remember, and I'm fortunate that I've been able to be in it. Now I'm almost 50 myself, and to be able to play and then have the opportunity now for the last 25 years to be in college coaching and, also coach 2 Olympic teams. I mean, I've been really lucky, to latch myself on to some really good coaches with my dad and Coach K, and the game has taken me to some amazing places. And, now to be in the NCAA tournament, I still feel like a little kid when I come to the NCAA tournament, and never watching the selection show and being a part of the team that gets picked. Like I feel like that same little kid, who dreamed of being there one day. So it's awesome, man. I love the game. It's been a love of mine my whole life, and I always wanted to be a player. And once that dream ended, coaching has now been a way for me to kind of redirect my passion into something new.
Coach, Lawrence Price for the Daily Northwestern. Early on, you talked about Hawkes and Campbell and how they can change the game, but UCLA also has other players like Amari Bailey, David Singleton. How do you not only focus your attention on the two main guys, but also other guys that can change the game as well at any point?
Yeah, I mean, they have a terrific team. I mean, and unfortunately, they've had some injuries, but, I mean, obviously, we know Bailey. He grew up in the Chicagoland area, so we've kind of known him since a middle school age. He came out to California, terrific talent. I mean, he's quick, he's explosive, he's aggressive, really gets out in the open floor. He can attack the basket, he can rebound. Singleton is a really good shooter. I told our guys, he reminds me a couple of the guys that we faced with Penn State, in an Andrew Funk or a Seth Lundy, guys you just can't leave. If he's open, he's going to make it. And they have some big, strong guys on the front line, that are doing a great job for them, that set screens, they rebound, they roll, they finish with dunks around the basket, they block shots. So it is a well-rounded team. I mean, they have 2 stars, but there's a reason why they're top 5 in the country, is because they are well-rounded. They're connected. They all kind of know their roles. And if you focus too much on other guys, then the guys that we just talked about can really hurt you as well. So, I mean, it's going to present a lot of problems for us. There's no question. We're going to have to be really locked in. We're going to have to be connected, hopefully try to do our best to limit them to a tough first shot. And then what concerns me is then when that first shot goes up, can we rebound? Because last night we did not do a very good job, and this is an even more physical and more athletic and a longer team than we faced last night. So can we force a tough first shot, and then can we rebound the ball? I mean, those are going to be 2 things that are going to be main emphasis before we play tomorrow.
Coach Alex Cervantes, Daily Northwestern. How much did the Northwestern fans impact the atmosphere yesterday and then hopefully Saturday? But what does it mean to just have that buy-in? Now, I mean, we're no longer obviously at Welsh Ryan, so what does it mean to just have that buy-in on the West Coast?
It's awesome, man. I both times now that we've been in an NCAA tournament situation, you see the power of the Northwestern, nationally, the fan base. We've been in the West twice. We're in Salt Lake City 6 years ago, and now being out here in Sacramento, and to walk out onto that floor and hear the Let's Go Cats chants, and to see all the purple. And I'm hearing there's even more people on the way, getting ready to come tomorrow. It means a lot. I mean, I told the guys not to take that for granted. They've done a great job of capturing the Northwestern family's attention, and people have really rooted for this team. And you want to have that support. You go into a big game like last night and what we're going to face tomorrow, and you want to have those fans behind you, and it's special. And I know it's something that means a lot to our players, means a lot to me as a coach, something we've worked hard for. And I know we have a great fan base, but I've always said we got to do our part too, and we got to put a product on the floor that's going to be worthy of that support. And I think it's all come together this year, and it's been fun to see the support we've gotten.
Sir, in the middle there.
Hey, Coach, Louis Vicaire, WildcatReport.com. You've talked a lot about UCLA as an elite team. They've been in the top 5 all year and the talent they have. But, you guys knocked off the #1 team in the country this year. What kind of advantage does that give you, and what can you draw from that experience?
Yeah, I think what our guys realize, and I think what everybody realizes, is there's a lot of really good teams, and UCLA is certainly one of them. But on one given night, if you play great, you can have a chance. And I think that's the beauty of the NCAA tournament. Now, if we played UCLA in a 7-game series, could we beat them 4 out of 7? I don't know. Maybe not. But when you play one game and you have an opportunity to play hard and put things together and what the game is going to entail. And I think, I don't know the number. I haven't tabulated it, but obviously playing Purdue, we played Indiana twice. We played Illinois twice. We played Iowa twice. We've played a lot. At Maryland, who's in the NCAA tournament, we played Penn State twice. Like we've played a lot of games. We played Auburn. We've played a lot of games against teams that are in the field. So, hopefully, and really down the stretch of the season, I believe like our last 6 games maybe of the season, we're all against NCAA tournament quality opponents. So, I think our guys are excited. I think you have no chance if you come into the game and you don't think you can win. That's the main thing. We respect UCLA fully. I mean, they're a great team, and we respect everything they're about. But I don't want my guys to come in tomorrow not believing they can't win. We got to have that belief. We got to have that confidence. And then we got to do our best to carry it out on the floor once the game starts.
Sir?
Bradley Locker, Inside NU. Coach, you've had the opportunity to watch 2 brothers on your staff and in your rotation in Boo Buie and Taylor Battle. Just how have you seen their relationship evolve over their 2 years in Evanston, and how do you think they kind of play into each other with that sibling relationship?
Yeah, I think it's been a great dynamic. First of all, Taylor is a terrific young coach. I would want him on my staff even if Boo wasn't on the team. I mean, Boo was a great player, played in the Big Ten, was an all-time great at Penn State. Has been a great influence on our whole team. But to see the dynamic between those two over the last 2 years has been special. I mean, I preach family all the time. I mean, my son's in our program as a manager, like families are around. I just believe in that. And so to see 2 brothers kind of go through this journey and work with each other every day on the court and sometimes yell at each other like brothers can. But it's good for me because then I can be the good guy. Taylor can yell at Boo, and then I can come and put my arm around him. I don't always have to be the bad guy, but it's been great. I think Taylor's been an amazing influence on Boo. Boo looks up to Taylor in so many ways. He respects his brother so much, and just to have that security kind of having family on the bench, and ups and downs, and to have someone you can fully trust over there, I think has really helped Boo's development over the last 2 years, and it's been fun, to watch. And I smile when I see some of the videos of them hugging and all those, because they're going to look back on this. We all get older, and to look back and to say they had a couple years where they could work together and go to an NCAA tournament and win a game and beat some ranked teams, and to have those moments together, man, those are really special things for families.
Up front.
Ayush Agarwal, Daily Northwestern. Coach, exactly a week ago, you had that loss to Penn State early in the Big Ten tournament on Friday. Would you say there's anything the team can kind of draw on those tough losses like that against Penn State, especially in sort of elimination games like yesterday or tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we played them twice in kind of a week span, and both games were overtime and right down to the wire. And we had dropped a few games coming into the tournament, but really I wasn't that concerned because I thought we were playing pretty well. We lost the game at Illinois where we had an 18-point lead on the road, and Terrence Shannon went crazy in the second half, and they kind of beat us in a close game. We played at Maryland, which they went undefeated all year in our conference, and lost there, and then lost on a buzzer beater, to Penn State, but then went to Rutgers and won a big game on the last game of the regular season. And then, I thought we played pretty well in the Penn State game. I mean, you see what they're doing. I thought we defended them really well in the Big Ten tournament. We just shot horribly. I think we shot 30% from the floor and still had a shot in the air that would have won it. Chase has got a 3. If it goes in, we win the game. So I think those experiences all help. Close games, needing stops at the end of games, needing to find a way to get baskets at the end of games. I think all those things, good and bad, you learn from those experiences and you move forward, and hopefully you can apply them, as you get into those next situations.
Domi.
Hey, Coach. Mike Domala, KCRA. You have a local kid, Titus.
Yeah.
He's from Manteca, right down the street here. But do you think he was responsible for some of that purple coming up this way? And when you insert him, what does he bring to your club?
Yeah, it's been great to have Titus this year. We were very, obviously it's documented, the most unproven, spot coming into our year was our front court. We had 2 guys that had played for the past 3 years and had commanded all the minutes, and now you had Matthew Nicholson who really hadn't played. So we brought in Titus as a veteran. He's a 6th-year senior. He's an older guy. He's played a lot of basketball. He's a great personality. He plays hard. He does his role really well. And just having another veteran presence on the team, he's really blended in with the team great, since day one. And there was no one more excited to come to Sacramento than Titus, as soon as that popped up. And And I know he's got a bunch of friends and family here supporting him, and what a special way for him. You know, it's his third school. You know, he's playing in the NCAA tournament for the first time, and having the opportunity to compete in your last year in your hometown is really awesome. I'm happy for him.
Coach Collins, just want to know, UCLA lost to Illinois and they beat Maryland pretty handily. Did you go back and look at games like that to see how those type of things were done and seeing, what you can see out of this, going into a matchup like you are tomorrow?
Yeah, I think what you try to do is take, everyone kind of has different styles of how they defend, how they play offense. So I think what we try to do is watch some games of, okay, are there some teams that did a really good job against certain things against them? Are there teams that attack them well? And, maybe you can get a few nuggets from watching some of those games. But certainly I remember I had watched that Illinois game. I remember Illinois had a huge second half to kind of beat them. I think they played in Vegas. And then the Maryland game was early. I mean, I think UCLA was the only team all year to win at Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Maryland went undefeated in our conference. I think that was their only home loss, and they played great that night. So I think you try to learn from different styles. We do some things maybe that are different than what other teams do. So sometimes you watch, and some of the schemes that we have are a little bit different. So you try to, look, okay, how are the things we're doing going to be successful? But there's no question, there's so many good coaches out there and so many people who have good game plans. You try to learn as much as you can in a 48-hour window to help you put a game plan together.
Coach, we've run out of time.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you guys
sir.
for being here. Appreciate it.